All right. This
Yeah,
window,
super,
this window.
super freaking stoked that I got the post that this morning, and I'm like, oh, I'm meeting with Carolyn. This couldn't be better timing. I was like, what a Friday.
So, how are things going?
They are going great. Honestly,
Cool.
I couldn't be happier. We went through a streak there where I was like, this is agonizing. But the cool thing is when I got the new results back on the BMR, it's like, this makes so much sense now. So it was a relief. It only took as soon as we upped the calories, I want to say that it only took 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
And then boom, it all started happening again. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Well, that's good because this is usually people are like, oh, I'll just cut back more. And then you're going in the opposite direction of what you want. And it's just.
What's funny is that even when you told me that, I was like, we were on the live when you said it, and I was like, we're going to up the calories. Okay. Okay. But I think in the back of my head, I was still like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm not going to question it. I'm going to do it. But
it's a scary move because it's so ingrained that we need to cut back in order to lose weight.
Yeah.
Which is true. But if you're trending in the right direction with your fitness, then in order to keep oh my God. There's a spider coming down. This is not my morning, guys. Ew. Okay, it's a tiny one. It's a tiny one. Oh my God, this is gonna be such a day. But if you're trending in the right direction with your fitness and you're building muscle, then you're going to need to increase it so that you're still staying above that good threshold to lose weight. Otherwise, you're just sending the wrong signal to your body, to your hormones, and this is where the weight loss stops. And if it was simply a question of cutting back, then it would work for everyone, and it's not. You have to be in that right zone.
This is where when I see the conversations happening, or when I see other coaches really simplify it and say things like it's just calories in, calories out, the premise of that statement is not necessarily wrong. It's just
exactly, yeah,
where your body has to be means everything. It's very simple to say, oh, it's just calories in, calories out. Well, in simple form, yes, but no.
Yeah.
Because it's how your body is using that energy, and it's going to vary, one, for everybody. It's going to vary depending on the time of the month. It's going to it's impossible to know how many factors might be happening at one time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a way to make it easier, but you can't oversimplify it. Right? It is a complex process. It's not complicated because we can take the steps to get there, but it is a complex process that it becomes dangerous if you oversimplify it.
Yeah, it's true. It was great though. Loved it.
Are you still do you still need to nap? Are you still do you feel like you have more energy now? Where are you at in terms of
not taking any more of the naps? Okay. It had gotten to the point though where I was taking the naps almost every day. It was ridiculous. And as soon as we upped the calories, I want to say it was within 3 or 4 days, things just started feeling, pretty normal again.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Energy started coming back. And I took your advice. I started working in. So how I was getting the extra calories was things like kiwi. Kiwi was my favorite thing to add.
Nice.
Because it was easy. Kiwis. I started eating more oranges, peaches. And then ta-da. And so, 3 or 4 days, that's all it took. And then here we are.
Good. All right.
Yeah. So I was looking, it's funny because somebody asked me yesterday, I wish I could show it on here. I should have thought about it earlier, but they were like, well, do you ever go up? And I was like, yeah, I go up on the scale all the time, but
oh yeah,
your body naturally fluctuates. So when it goes up 1 or 2 pounds, I don't even think about it normally. But when you look at the graph looks like this.
yeah.
And then I showed her, well, this is what it looks like over the last 3 months. And as long as I see the trend going down, I don't care what the day-to-day does. But I started getting off the scale every day.
Okay.
One, because I know me, and it just started getting stressful. You know what I mean? Like, I can't watch the day-to-day. So I started doing it like every other day.
Okay.
And it's working better. And then I got on this morning and I hit the jackpot.
Is it because the days that it goes up plays with your mind, or is it like
it's
the
a mind game
of getting on the scale that is stressing? Is it the actual action, or is it the time leading up to it that you're like, what if it goes up?
It's 100% mind game. Like, I know in the back of my brain, especially when you're doing everything right, you know, but for me personally, that's when all the stories start, you know, like maybe I should have walked a little further yesterday, or, I mean, you could drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So, I moved it to every other day. One, because it just helps the fluctuations a little bit better. I mean, I could drink an extra half gallon of water before I go to bed one night and it'll be up to, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't watch that anymore.
Okay. That's a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like, it will, as long as you stay flexible with how you do that, like in the future, right? Like right now, if you're noticing that it's just like it's too stressful, like the lead up to the and you want to give yourself like a day so you don't have to think about like the next day of like weighing yourself, then that's fine. As long as we're not avoiding, as long as we're not creating like negative feelings, because that's the thing. It's like the anticipation of, well, what if it goes up? What if I didn't do enough? What? It's only a check-in. So like, as long as if we need to go back to every day so we can see those micro changes, that we can. But right now, if you don't need it or want it and everything is going well, then we don't have to do it. It's just, it is a tool, and we don't want to see it as anything else but a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I think for me, it was just helping me get away from some of those things that don't matter. Like, you know, drinking extra water the night before, or, you know, it was a really hot day. I know I felt bloated.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point getting on it when I know it's going to be up. Like, let's do it. So I just started doing it every day so I could minimize.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do it every day.
Like I said, it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it's seeing the trend, like you said.
Yep.
So for me, it's always more a question of, why are we not doing something? That's why I asked, like, is it getting on the scale and then seeing the number that is going to affect you? Or is it, I know I'm going to do this, or I didn't have a perfect day, blah, blah, blah. Like the mind, like dialogue that you have, like leading up.
It was more like when I was going through that, us trying to figure out like what was happening there, it was just adding to the frustration.
Yeah.
You know, like you work your ass off and you want to get on it and you want to have it say something positive because you know you're doing everything right. And so I figured I would back off that a little bit to give the body time to do its thing.
Yeah.
And then here we are again. So, I mean, it was more to like get rid of the mind game so that I could continue doing what I was supposed to do.
Yes.
You know, I get upset, I go for the peanut butter, you know.
So that's good. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you know why you're doing it, and that you're treating the cause, like not the symptom. So like, if you know that it's because it would lead to better, like worse outcomes in terms of your behavior, then that's one thing. Because it's not, and you know this, it's never going to be always down.
No.
So like, that's where like making sure that you can process those emotions, or kind of like become emotionless. Like, it's just a number and it's going to fluctuate, and you know that.
Right.
If the number is not, so that's what I'm saying. If the number, and you know all these things and you can rationalize all these things. So if the number is not the issue and it's everything like leading up and it's causing, then that's fine. Like we can skip it so that you're not like frustrated day after day and then potentially we're derailing our behavior. Does that make sense?
We disappeared
sorry. So I don't like, you don't have to weigh yourself every day, but I want to know why, because that's important. So right now, if it's like, I just didn't want to have the frustration, I didn't want to have, because so that allows me to stay focused on the good habits, then that is a positive. That's good.
Yeah. And that's all it was.
Yeah. Because like, and that's the thing, like, it's going to be the same here in Montreal. Like, it's also important, like during the summer, in terms of hydration, in terms of just like swelling and things like that, like the heat, the humidity, it's going to affect your body. And that in the long term, like, well, it's good to have that information. Right. So it's not a yes or no. It's not like you have to do it 100% of the time or you have to back off like all the time. You have to be able to understand why you're doing something. And as long as you're treating the cause, that's fine.
Okay. So here's a good example. So 2 days ago, I was coming down the stairs and I could feel I was going like this with my hands. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm swollen. I'm like, nope, not getting on the scale because I know what it's going to say. And I know I'm doing fine. So I make sure I have a good day. We're going to wait. So that's kind of how I rationalize it.
So that's good.
But in my log, I do put, that's how I was feeling that day. You know,
so that's
like I'm noting when I have those, so I can keep track of when I see the graph, then I know, there we go.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Because it's the same thing. Like you don't need to be weighing your food every day. You should be able to eyeball it. Like it's kind of the same thing. Like you don't need to step on the scale every day if you know that like how you look in the morning, how you feel, like there's going to be certain tells. And the more you can be in tune with that without having to rely on the scale, then that's great. But at the same time, like, well, you also need that precision. So it's just like, we need to track it.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I can, spitball the like fruits and vegetables and the meats. Freaking spot on. It's amazing how close I can get 25 grams on a banana.
And it's a game, right? You're like,
Sometimes like I'm going to cut the banana exactly 25 grams. But the one thing that I still do measure religiously because I need the precision is on the fats because boy, it's easy to go over there.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, it was cool.
Cool. All right. Are we still having coffee after 2 p.m.? How's the coffee situation going?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm a slow learner sometimes, but coffee is just one of those things. As much as I adore it, I had a heart-to-heart with myself, and I'm like, you have to stop at 2 p.m. for your sleep, for you. Has it worked all the time? No, but I'm getting way better. 2 o'clock.
Is it easier now that you're not as tired?
Yes, 1,000%. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like trying to survive. And so I'm dumping gallons of coffee, trying to make sure I can get all my shit done for the day, but no, like I try to do a hard stop at 2. I'm not always successful, but sometimes I'll be driving past the Starbucks drive-through and I'm like, golly, it's 80 degrees. Iced coffee sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
So
that's good. So, and this is where you can have that flexibility of how's your day going, fatigue level, all of that. But if you want or you need to have coffee, then like that can be our tell for in like 2-3 months of like, hey, I'm starting to feel really tired again. I want to take a nap, or I need that extra coffee so I can get through my day. That can be kind of like, maybe we need to up the calories again.
Now we have a baseline.
And we have a tell.
Yeah.
So try to keep it for like those like rough day, like something like that, or you didn't like with the summer, if it gets really hot and we're not sleeping as well, like you're gonna have days where like, it just helps you get through the day. But remember that feeling of like when we were under eating?
Yeah.
Like if you start getting that again and it's like, I need that coffee, like I'm not, then we can look into that.
You know, thinking back too, I'm kind of shocked that I didn't pick up on that sooner. But it didn't occur because I was so low already. Well, yeah, maybe that's why I didn't pick up on it. I was low and I didn't think it needed to go the other way. I guess it hadn't occurred to me, you know, like it's been a while since January. The body's changing a lot.
Yeah. And it's going to change faster. It still took like a long time, but now that we're reintroducing strength, that you're doing like the intensity is going to go up with your ability. So you might need to up the calories a little bit sooner. Right. So we just want to keep like, if like, I think that's a good tell for us and for you to kind of like keep track if that happens again.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm going to write this.
You know, it's funny. We were talking about those schedules last night. And I mean, I have gotten to the point where those are non-negotiable.
Nice.
I'm solidified now that I'm like, I see the clock and I'm like 8:30. That's it. Phone goes off. Well, computer goes off. Phone, sometimes it takes till like 9. But the shit goes off. And it's getting to the point now where I've got that routine so solidified that I'm getting more and more efficient. So I have way more time during that hour to get stuff done. Same things in the morning. I find that during that 8:30 time, I'd start prepping stuff for breakfast in the morning, put it in the containers, have it ready. So all I needed to do was throw it in the pan. I mean, we're getting pretty freaking efficient over here.
Yes. Optimizing is like, and this is where now that you've been doing it for a while and things should take you less and less time as we get better and better. That's CrossFit. Right? But that's the same thing in life. It's like, oh, it used to take me like 20 hours. Now it takes me 19 and 18. Like you should be gaining with experience and just efficiency. So if now you start liberating some time for you in the morning or in the evening, can we reallocate that to do something that you enjoy or just like grab that time and schedule it again?
Yep. That's exactly what I've been doing. I get some like relaxed time during that 8:30. I can usually get everything done by 9 o'clock now. And then I'll spend the last 30 minutes like watching a show or something, you know.
There we go. I'm just taking my notes.
Hey, I found something yesterday.
What did you find?
It's a new development. Look.
Collarbone?
I'm like, hey, look what's showing up right here. Look, like there's an actual bone there now. Like, look. It was good news.
Did you get bruised from the cleans and stuff?
Holy shit, the other day. Yes. It was the first time in my life where that's ever happened. And it hurt. And there was a big little bruise there the other day. I'm like, holy shit, it's resting on my collarbone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a first for me.
And you'll have one that's going to be worse than the other. That's just how it goes.
I haven't had it on both sides yet.
No, because like usually we'll have one shoulder that's slightly higher than the other. Like we're not perfectly symmetrical. You know, one side's going to be more flexible, whatever. So it's always going to like the goal would be to get them like, you know, and for it not to drop on our collarbone. But if you're trying to go fast or whatever, you'll notice like you'll always have one side that's a little bit more bruised.
Where's yours? Do you have one on yours?
I can't remember which side. But yeah, I get a side. Everybody has a side. Just because of the speed of the barbell cycling we do, and like it's not what you want. It's not like a badge. It's like ripped hands. Like don't rip your freaking hands. Like just stop. Like we good. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I notice little bruises everywhere. I get bruises on my forearms a lot now, and I don't know why on my forearms, but
forearms.
Yeah, I have one right here. Let's see.
Oh.
Yeah. I have one over here too. I know why. I'm using a lot of dumbbells.
Oh, yeah.
I'm using a lot of dumbbells now.
Yeah.
The training has changed a little. Well, I mean, a little bit. So Miranda's programming is fun. It's really, really fun. I love the fact that it has so many paths, so many tracks. So like say for one day they might have like a dumbbell track, and then the next track is if you have all the equipment. So what I started doing was I started going back and forth. Let's be cognizant and use the dumbbells one day.
Yeah.
And then let's do the barbell program the other day. Sometimes she'll totally blow it out of the water and throw a surprise in like she did yesterday.
So you're still having fun with all of that. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a lot of fun with the programming. And just the street parking cool is pretty, the crew is just really cool. It's different, but I love it. Yeah. I like the variety. And I feel like I do a lot more salt bike now than I ever did before, which I don't know if that's a good thing. Yesterday was a very spicy day. It was like 30-minute EMOM, go for 30 seconds, stop for 30 seconds on the bike. Ooh. And it was miserable.
Oh, wow.
But she was like at 5:00 yesterday, she's like, how you feeling? I'm like, okay. I'm always okay. Those are wicked on 80-degree days here.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing like whether it's a row or like an assault bike or a skip, like I know they program for at home, but it's also like easier to watch your kids, or like easier to, just be present and then like, hey, go run for 200 meters and then come back and then rest. Like that's not as convenient. So I don't know if that's one of the reasons why you're maybe doing a little bit more machine than.
No, I mean, I do like one day it's running, one day
it's okay.
I think it's just the variety. I'm seeing a lot of the machines more than I did before.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
That's pretty cool. Also,
if you have it.
Hey, if you have the equipment, go for it.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing. Like and I don't know, like affiliate programming, who's doing their own, if you're buying and things like that. But I know that it's one thing when you're programming for your affiliate, you know how many machines and you'll organize it accordingly. So like if you don't have to, if everybody's training at home and everybody has a different tracks and whatever, then you can kind of program a little bit more like you want. And so like that variety comes from that liberty of being able to program everything. It's like, well, people can do this or they can do that. And then like, there's things that are going to pop up maybe a little bit more than conventional type of programming or gym programming.
It's been really fun. I've been enjoying the workouts for sure.
Cool. Let me see. We did that. We got your retest.
Gordon's been doing a lot of traveling, but he'll be back. You met him.
I met Gordon.
Isn't he the greatest?
Yeah.
He'll be back. He's doing the affiliate summit this week. So we'll get back to our normal check-ins. It's going to pick up in July and August for you too.
Oh yeah. Already. Prep for all of that.
You ready?
I mean, the goal is to get ready in the time. I mean, it's a whole year process, but we still have a little bit of time. So that's good. Putting down the groundwork and then building up from there.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So in terms of specifically, so the routines are good.
Yep.
Exercise is good. Nutrition is better now that we've upped the calories. Yep. Is there anything, so like we mentioned weather, is there anything that you anticipate? Like, do you prefer to eat more cold foods in the summer? Do you feel less hungry? Like, does your hunger go down when you're hot or the temperature or you're not sleeping as well? Like, is there things that we can anticipate for the summer?
Not really, no.
Are there any fruits, veggies? Like, is there any food that you're like, oh, this is like summer food? Like for me, that's cherries. Like I know once the cherries get like in, because they're delicious, they're not as expensive because they're not coming from God knows where. So like I know I have like a few summer foods. Like, do you have go-tos that you're like, oh, I need to think about that when I go do my grocery list, and like I know I'll be eating more of this versus that?
Well, you hit it right on the head, cherries.
Okay.
some of the foods just change throughout the year because it's in season. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheaper. Like I'll go through bags and bags of cherries. Cherries is like, well, actually, that's like one of my main go-tos right now. I find that there are less carbs in the cherries than some of the other fruits that I eat. So on days where, fruit can be really strategic too, because if I do like I did this week, where I do the spaghetti squash boats,
yeah,
they're they're carb heavy. So on those kinds of days, like strawberries and cherries are probably going to be the go-tos because they don't add as much.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else, though. The one thing that I have introduced since it's kind of summer now here are those little sugar-free popsicles. I like those at night. Makes me feel like I'm getting a treat. I am getting a treat.
Yeah.
I like those sugar-free popsicles. Those are fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes I make my own.
You can also do that. There's a lot of different ways to go about that, but if they're convenient and that's fine. The cherries, like you mentioned, like cherries, strawberries, like if you know how to mix and match, so that's important. And like just so that you know, like if like we know things are going to be in season and out of season, so are you eating less greens in the summer because we're going more for fruits and veggies and things like that? Okay.
I wouldn't say that too much has changed there. The only thing that really changes around the year is what's available for the best price. The only thing that does change in the summertime. So in my house, it's a 3-level house. So, and the second floor upstairs is open because there's a big loft area. Mm-hmm. What happens is even with the AC on, because heat rises, it doesn't matter how much AC gets up there. It's still hot. And so a lot of times what I'll do in the summertime is I'll move the bedroom down to the guest room and I'll sleep in the basement because it's cold as hell down there. That's the only thing that really changes in the summer.
Okay, that's good. So you're still maintaining like good sleep. Because that's going to be important. Yeah, if you're staying up there, it's going to be hot and you wouldn't
get hot. That actually happened last week and I was like, oh, that's right. That's right. I guess
it's that time of year.
Like fudge. Yes.
Yeah.
Move down to the basement.
Good. So we did that.
Dungeon, I call it.
And then in terms of social events, barbecues, weddings, like anything that we need to anticipate for the summer.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I usually pass about 50% of the invites just because I don't want to put myself there.
Okay. Is it because you don't want to be tempted in that sense of like?
Because I love cake, Carolyn.
Pardon?
I love cake. Because I love cake.
Okay.
That's why. I think it's just a temptation. I don't, at some point I'm sure that maybe that will get easier and better for me. But for right now, because I know me, it's just easier to keep it out of sight, out of mind for now.
Okay. So as long as, like I said, everything will move with time. So right now, if that's the best decision, then that's what we're going with. And then if we do have something that we want to be able to say yes to, then we can hit that up and like kind of make a plan for it. Because like ideally you're not avoiding every barbecue and every wedding and every, I don't know, baptism, whatever's happening. I don't know. But ideally you'll be able to say yes if you want to go. And that's another thing too. Like if you like, we don't need to go party and like we don't need to stay up late and it's like stuff like that. But if you want to be able to say yes and having a plan for those situations, we can develop one together.
Okay.
Cool.
It hasn't been an issue yet.
Okay, good. Summer food, summer events.
Most of the time, honestly, yes, there's always considerations for like the type of food they're going to be serving. And I have to make decisions based on that. But I would say that most of the time it has to do with how much personal time did I have for Athena that day. And if it's not going to fill my cup and it's, not going to add that day, I'll pass. Not because of the cake. I make jokes, but
yeah. So that's fine. So that's good. Like it's often hard to say no to social events because of social pressure. So if you're able to kind of like respect that me time and knowing what is going to add or take away from like you and your day and just like in general, then that's fine.
No, I've got really good at saying no.
Good.
Like boundaries was the very first thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me like how little boundaries when we started that I had. I had a hard time saying no to things that I should be saying no to.
Yeah.
For me.
That's like, and like the summer, because of all the outings and all the events that people have, and Christmas are like two of my favorite times to like do nutrition with people, because you're in like you're surrounded with people, and that's usually the biggest issue, right?
Yeah,
it is. Auntie trying to give you like more food or not enough food, or making you feel guilty because you're having alcohol or not having it. Like people are always doing something wrong, and you're like, okay, but so like helping people deal with that, and that usually like just improves their relationship with food and their relationship with other people. So people tend to be like, I'm not going to work on my nutrition during Christmas time, and I'm like, no, that's when you need to do it, because that's like some of the hardest times to work on it.
Christmas, we're probably going to have to talk about it. Summer's not a big deal, but Christmas, we haven't talked about Christmas yet.
Thanksgiving isn't as big of a deal here. And I mean, in my circle, I don't know the rest of Canada. I'm not going to speak for everybody in Canada, but I know like Thanksgiving is a huge thing in the States. So again, like when we can cross that bridge when we get there, but
I mean, you guys have Thanksgiving. You just celebrate it in October, right?
Yeah, but it's not a big of a thing. Like for at least like in Quebec and the French speaking, like I don't know a lot of people who are doing the massive thing. We used to do it a little bit when I was a kid, but even then it's like Christmas is coming. I don't know. That's not
Christmas is coming, Carolyn.
And ours is in October. So like there's two more months. Like we could have like a huge Thanksgiving and then like 2 months later have Christmas. I don't know. And my family was just not like a huge thing, but you see it in movies and you see it in television. So like guessing that's what it is for everyone in America. Like I don't know.
It was Christmas, like I have this neighbor across the street who she's retired. She loves baking, and she always feels like Athena always needs those, cookie plates. And Christmas is a problem.
Yeah. So we can start talking about that in September.
Because we're gonna have to
make a plan. But yeah, it's food is a love language for some, right? Like it's like they want to give you, and then it's like I can't say no because they'll feel bad. And it's like, well, say yes and then throw it out. Like at this point, the path of least resistance. Like if that's going to be an issue, then just take the cookies, put them in the trash, figure out something. Like
I do,
but
like it's fine. Yeah. We're gonna get through Christmas, I think, better this year than we probably have in a long time.
Awesome. So if summer's not an issue, no big plans or travels coming up?
Not until August. Okay. August is going to be a pretty, we deliberately kind of made the seminar schedule this season really light because we wanted to have time to work on the online stuff. So the next one isn't till the end of August, but obviously there's the games a couple weeks before.
Are you going to the games?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so August is going to be pretty busy. I will have to make some plans for August. Now, I'm not necessarily worried about the games. I got a cute little Airbnb. It's got its own kitchen and stuff, so I can cook the whole time while I'm there. So I already got a plan for the games.
Good. It'll be more a question of like, and which is doable. I mean, everybody's like up in the air. We don't know what Texas is going to be like, but from what they've developed in the past years of like being able to train, either dropping in or training at the games venue, which is going to be very different this year because like the vendor village is somewhere else or whatever. So I would say like just kind of stay on top of the information that they're sending out so that you can plan your schedule. Like when you're there, when are you working out? Are you doing more like home trainings or whatever? Are you dropping in at a box? Like send them an email. Like, how's it going to work? Like everybody year after year now in Madison, like everybody kind of developed their plan of attack because it's like, I'm going to go back to the same gym, or like, the research was already done. Everything is easy. Now we're going to a new location. So like, yeah, the gyms might have different ways of operating. We need to be ready for that. Like, don't just try and drop in last minute because that might not work. Like, are the brands doing activations in the gyms? Well, like people are going to need to do a little bit more research and not just like drop in like a fly. There's more people coming in because the venue's bigger, possibly more gyms. No idea. So it's like plan, like let's make sure that we plan and that you communicate and that you know what you want to do when you want to do it. And then you can kind of like reserve in advance what you want to, where you want to go, or in terms of like reservations and stuff.
Yeah. One of my strategies has always been, I can only think of 1 year where maybe this is a little different, where I was within actual walking distance across the street. But traditionally I'll deliberately stay like 10 to 15 miles outside, outside wherever the venue is, just so that I don't run into that chaos.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So you can look at that area.
I feel like I get to, I feel like I get my own space and get away from the,
which is which is good.
You're like, yes.
It's hectic. The games are stressful and it's hectic and there's a lot of people, but it's just like, I feel like there's going to be a very different excitement, and I could be wrong, but like just a very different excitement, different people coming to the games this year because they're changing locations. So I think that the more you can plan for, like if you already rented your Airbnb, you already have your car, like you can already start planning like what that week of fitness, kind of like what we did with the seminar at Nashville, like where are you getting your food? When are you going to do your groceries? Like have those things kind of like plotted on your schedule, and then you can come in and execute, and it's a little bit easier. And the seminar, like you already know what to do now in terms of like bring your food on the plane, where you're staying, like all of that. But I feel like the games are going to be a little bit like, because they're different, we need to plan a little bit more.
Yeah. We'll be in Louisiana, Baton Rouge at the end of August.
Nice.
It's going to be a hot one.
Probably.
Spicy Cajun.
Some good food.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we'll keep that. So I tracked that. So for our next meeting for July, we can kind of go over and make sure that your plan for the games is solid.
Okay.
August seminar is all solid. And we can go over that. So that still gives you a little bit of time to like prep and make sure that like if there's any changes or if anything gets added in terms of media, or like, I don't know, like get special requests or like something comes in that we can plan accordingly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anything you're struggling with right now?
No.
Honestly, doesn't sound like it, but I'll ask just in case.
No. I mean, like the, trend is about 2 to 2.5 pounds a week is about what it's at. And I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
It's good. Does it mean I'll hit that actual number? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
To say, but we're 150 days in today.
Yeah.
65.5 loss. I mean, it's pretty on track.
That's pretty good. Are you starting to make expectations to what the end of the 365 days are going to look like? Or are you keeping that pretty open? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Miranda actually talked to me about this. And it was a valid point. I did this to myself the first time. So the goal was to lose 200 pounds that first year. Totally freaking aggressive. And at the end of that first year, I had lost 186 is where it landed. You would think that I would be like, this is celebration. It's wonderful. Yeah. But no, Athena had a pity party for 3 months because I didn't hit the 200. So I learned you can always set the goal and you can have that Northern Star to work to, but despite every possible thing that you could do, that is not a number that you can control.
Yeah.
To some degree you can, but you can't. So I have my Northern Star, but am I going to get all rattled if I'm a couple pounds off? No. So at the end of the year, it's just going to stay completely open, but I know better this time.
Well, that's good. Because like my first reflex was like, oh, if we just, do times 2 and bring it to 300 days, where would that weight be? Right. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who did that. I'm like, oh, it's like you're in an AMRAP at 10 minutes. Like I need to get the same, like just double the amount that I'm doing. And then everybody thinks and we're all going down. So, but it's a very natural kind of just like simple math. That's how our brains work. Like it's normal to kind of extrapolate.
Hey, you're halfway there.
You're halfway there. So if I just maintain this, like that's where I should be. So I wanted to see where you were at in terms of that and in terms of expectations. Good that you're already like, went through it once, kind of know not to do that. The tendency is still going to be there. But to make sure that you still celebrate no matter what number you hit is important, because also as you lose weight, you will lose less weight.
Correct.
Right. So right now, if we're at 2.5 per week, eventually it's going to come down to 2, and eventually it's going to come down to 175 because you have less weight to lose. So that proportion is just going down. So that's good. So knowing that, like, just keep working on your habits, not building any expectation. We're just trying to keep the trend going, and we'll see what that does at the end of the year. That's where I want your head at.
Halfway there would be, I think July 15th is halfway. And I think sometimes it can serve as a good gauge.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you're right. And I'm expecting that, and I'm preparing for it mentally. I know.
So if anything, because I was trying to like, it's a Northern Star, but it's a moving target.
Yeah.
So I think by July 15th, like if we want to make sure that, because you want to keep the effort high and the challenge high, but it's a moving target. So let's say by July 15th, and I'm just making like round numbers, you lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. Can we take half of that, 30, knowing that like I said, you're going to be losing less and less weight? Can we take half of that, add it? And so now our target is 90 pounds because we took the 60 plus the 50%. And that would be like kind of like a goal.
It's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. It's probably more than likely.
So we can kind of look at that, knowing that like the weight loss is always going to be very dramatic at the beginning. So we, that's not going to continue. And then we're losing less and less as we keep going. But so your target is 200 total.
300 total.
300 total.
The target for this year is 148.
148. Okay.
Yeah. So the goal was to get to that 300 lost. Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at the 148 as an overall target, now at halfway, we can see how much you lost on that 148 and readjust, knowing, like I said, if we take 50% or 40% or like whatever, we see this trend, right, with the upcoming months. And then like maybe it'll be 126. So now we have like a range of like, well, it would be nice to be between 126 and 148. Because again, what that will do.
That's a good idea, because that's a great idea, because I don't want to take the goal away.
No.
But at the same time, it's like, okay.
It forces us like when we needed to increase your calories, like that range and that target, like we need to make sure that we're still aiming for it. So as soon as we have roadblocks or things that are slowing down, like it's not, oh, okay, like we're just going to stay there. It's like, no, we need to make sure that we're adjusting the plan, that we're taking action and having that range now of like, well, this is the goal. This is what realistically it could look like. And then if we see we're moving away from that, we need to put in some more energy and like figure out a better plan and like a better actions. But I think that's how we could kind of like keep the goal, but make it more realistic with what has actually happened so far and what we can anticipate happening for the rest of the year.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that plan, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think it'll help more, if anything, with the mental side, because
yes,
when I remember when I got to that 187, like, it's so ridiculous, I know, but it was only 13 pounds off, but it was,
but it's a yes or no, but that's the thing that happens with goals. It's a yes or no.
I know.
No. Like, are you close enough? Yes. Are you happy? No. So it's like, it's very easy, and it's not how we should think about things, but it is a very natural way to do things. So it's like, well, let's give ourselves a range. Let's see what we can do until the end of the year that is going to be realistic, so that ideally you can answer yes by the end of the year. And that's the other thing too. We know your bone density, your muscles, like, you're going to build. It's not that target is almost unrealistic, because we're trying to get stronger. Because we're trying to have a healthier body, which means more fascia, more tendons, more bone density, like all these things. So that target is just a target. We need to have like a realistic outcome about like the transformation your body is going through.
That's true. Some of the earlier coaching discussions I had earlier in the year, when we first talked about, you're going to lose 148, that's the goal. To get that goal, like, it's aggressive. Yeah. And I knew that. But at the same time, in March, when we had this kind of coaches change up, and I had a chance to kind of look at this and be like, okay, is the goal really just weight loss though?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the Northern Star didn't get taken away, but you're right. To some degree, there is going to have to be some reality checkpoints, because the goal wasn't just weight loss.
Yeah.
The goal is also to maintain, like, I don't want to lose any muscle.
Yeah.
It's hard to do when you're losing weight, but it's possible. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. No, so that's why, like, as we keep moving and as we get closer to the end of the year, we can also have like different goals. Meaning, like, well, now do we go for like inches around your waist, or a certain like clothes size, or something else? Because like, that's the thing, the weight is just like, it's something very easy to measure to make sure you're going in the right direction. But in the end, it's not so much the weight on the scale as like you're improving your overall health. Right. And like, what does a healthy body? Well, it is a heavy body in the sense that I want you to have bone density. I want you to have muscle. So that number on the scale is going to change, because there is weight that I want to have on your body, and there's weight that I want to have off. And we can't just measure one thing. So I think as we get closer, we can kind of look at like different things that we can also add to make sure that we get to the end of the year and we say, yes, I was successful. Because the 148 is just like, that's the Northern Star, but that's not necessarily what we want to answer yes to in terms of success.
That's true. I agree with that strategy. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to add that.
That's good. I'm glad you're thinking about that kind of stuff. I know I do. Yeah, I think about that a lot, because like, I can laugh about it now, but boy, it really put me under for months.
Yeah. Because which is normal.
I felt like I didn't hit the target. Like, it was I failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad because you should be happy. And then it's
like,
it just spirals.
But I felt like an ungrateful brat,
Yeah. Any goals that we have for the next 3 weeks-ish? We're keeping everything as is. The routines are going well. The increase in calories going well.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would say just the next 3 weeks are going to be just same. I just call it the grind. Same day in, day out. Just do stay consistent.
Perfect. Stay consistent. Excellent. So that was what we're keeping track.
Yeah.
Just going everything. Good. I think we have a good plan. Things are going well. We already have some things to look forward to for the games.
Yep.
And then after the games for the fall, as we get closer and closer to the end of the year, holidays, things to start planning. But right now, if everything is going well, we keep building our habits, making it easier and more efficient. I like it.
I love it.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool. Anything else for me?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
This is working great. And it's just the right amount of touch points. It's the right amount of, and I like the way that it's structured every 3 weeks, because, you know, even if something were to happen like it did, you need some time to see whether it's a pattern or whether it's just a one-off.
Yeah.
Well, it's working and I love it. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Same. Perfect. I'll make sure that I'm going to go recheck my calendars. Make sure everything's entered properly. Thank you for being flexible.
Yeah, no problem.
All good. Perfect. So I'll let you go. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next meeting.
You got it. Can't wait.
Good work.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.